My dad lied about Mom's illness to trick me into babysitting for their cruise, so I smiled and taught them a lesson they'll never forget. My phone buzzed like a rattlesnake on my glass coffee table, shattering the silence of my Chicago apartment at 11:47 p.m. The screen glowed with Dad's name, a rare sight this late. My heart lurched. Dad never called past 9 p.m. unless it was serious. I was sprawled on my couch, surrounded by a fortress of laptops and coffee mugs, neck deep in a $5 million 0-cents crisis for Nexus Corp, a tech giant teetering on the edge of a PR nightmare after a massive data breach. I swiped to answer, my voice tight. "Dad, everything okay?" "Claire," his voice cracked heavy with something I couldn't place. "It's your mom. She's in the ICU. Sepsis. Doctors say it's touch and go. She's asking for you." The world tilted. My mom with her fragile heart from a surgery 5 years ago? In the ICU? Sepsis? My mind raced to the worst. Her tired smile at Christmas, the way she'd clutch her chest after climbing stairs. I gripped the phone, my knuckles white. "How bad is it, Dad?" "Bad enough that you need to come home. Now." His voice broke, and so did my composure. "Please, Claire." I didn't think, I acted. My fingers flew across my laptop, canceling a high-stakes merger meeting with Nexus scheduled for tomorrow. My boss, Olivia, would be furious, but family came first, right? I booked a red-eye flight to Seattle, $1,500 0 cents for a one-way ticket that burned a hole in my savings. I fired off an email to Olivia, explaining the family emergency and promising to work remotely. My hands shook as I packed a blur of jeans, chargers, and my work tablet. I was out the door in 20 minutes, racing to O'Hare Airport in a cab that smelled of stale cigarettes, my pulse hammering like a war drum. The flight was a nightmare. Turbulence rattled the plane as my thoughts spiraled. Mom, with her gentle laugh and her insistence on sending me care packages of homemade granola, couldn't be slipping away. Not now. I tried to focus on Nexus reviewing breach reports, drafting statements, but my eyes blurred with exhaustion and fear. Somewhere over Idaho, I dozed off, only to jolt awake when the plane hit a pocket of rough air. A man across the aisle stared at me, his phone angled oddly like he was snapping a photo. I blinked, unnerved, but he looked away. Was it paranoia? The Nexus case had enemies. Competitors, hackers, even disgruntled insiders. I shook it off, chalking it up to stress. When the plane touched down at Seattle-Tacoma Airport at 4 a.m., I was a wreck. Hair tangled, eyes bloodshot, my mind a tug-of-war between dread for Mom and panic about work. I grabbed my carry-on and hurried through the terminal, the fluorescent lights harsh against my fatigue. That's when I noticed him again. The same man from the plane, now trailing me, his phone out, subtly aimed my way. My skin prickled. I quickened my pace, weaving through the crowd, but he matched my steps. At the taxi stand, I spun around, ready to confront him, but he was gone, swallowed by the early morning chaos. My heart pounded. Was he tied to Nexus, or something worse? I pushed the thought aside and hailed a rideshare to my parents' waterfront home in West Seattle, a cedar-shingled house with a view of Puget Sound I'd once dreamed of escaping. The driver, a chatty guy with a Seahawks cap, tried to make small talk, but I barely heard him. All I could think about was Mom, her warm hugs, her insistence on teaching me to bake bread, her voice weak on the phone last month when she'd mentioned a cold. Had it been a warning sign I'd ignored? The sun was just rising, painting the sky in streaks of orange when the car pulled into the driveway. Palm trees, planted by Dad when I was a kid, swayed in the breeze. I paid the driver, grabbed my suitcase, and sprinted to the front door, my old key still on my ring. "Mom?" I called, my voice echoing in the foyer as I dropped my bags. "Dad, I'm here!" Laughter floated from the kitchen, bright, carefree laughter. not the hushed tones of a family in crisis. My stomach twisted. I followed the sound, my sneakers squeaking on the hardwood. In the kitchen, around a granite island littered with beach hats and sunscreen, stood my entire family. Mom, vibrant and healthy, was folding a floral sarong. Dad was thumbing through a cruise itinerary. My sister, Lauren, was zipping up a Louis Vuitton suitcase stuffed with tropical dresses. 4 matching luggage sets sat by the sliding glass door, ready for a grand adventure. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. "You're not sick?" Mom looked up, her face breaking into a smile. "Claire, you made it! Perfect timing." The room spun. Perfect timing? For what? I scanned their faces. Mom's casual cheer, Dad's sudden interest in his paperwork, Lauren's smug grin. "Dad said you had sepsis," I said, my voice hollow. "He said you were in the ICU, that you were asking for me." An awkward silence fell. Mom and Lauren exchanged glances, like they'd rehearsed this moment. Dad cleared his throat, avoiding my eyes. "Well, we might have exaggerated a bit. You know how you are with work. We needed you here." "Exaggerated?" I repeated, my voice rising. "You told me Mom was dying." Lauren stepped forward, her practiced smile the one she'd used since we were kids to get her way. "Claire, relax. We're going on an Alaskan cruise. 2 weeks of glaciers and hot tubs. It's been planned for months. We just need you to watch the kids." My jaw dropped. The kids, Ethan, 10, with his wild curls. Mia, 8, clutching a stuffed fox. Noah, 6, with his peanut allergy. And Ava, 4, always a tornado of energy, peeked from the living room, their eyes wide with confusion and excitement. I loved those kids, but this was a betrayal so calculated it felt like a knife in my back. "You lied about Mom being in the ICU so I'd fly across the country to babysit?" I said, my voice trembling with rage. "Well, when you put it like that," Dad began, but I cut him off. "That's exactly how it is. I spent $1,500, 0 cents, on a flight. I canceled a meeting that could cost me my partnership. I thought Mom was dying." Lauren rolled her eyes, tossing her blonde hair. "Don't be so dramatic, Claire. You were coming for Thanksgiving anyway, right? This is just a little earlier." "Thanksgiving is a 3-day trip, not 2 weeks in October," I snapped. "I'm managing a $5 million 0 cents crisis. I could lose my job." Mom's expression softened, but her tone was firm. "Sweetie, family comes first. Lauren, your dad and I need this break. It's been so hard with the kids." "And my life isn't hard," I shouted, my control slipping. "I thought you were dying, Mom. Do you have any idea what that did to me?" From the living room, Ethan waved shyly, his siblings huddled behind him. My heart softened, but only for a moment. They weren't to blame for this mess. Lauren, sensing my gaze, pounced. "See, the kids are thrilled to have Aunt Claire. You don't have kids, so you wouldn't get how much parents need a break." That condescension lit a fire in me. "I get that you want a vacation," I said, my voice low and sharp. "What I don't get is why you had to lie instead of asking like adults." Dad stepped in, his tone patronizing. "Claire, don't overreact. We knew you'd make excuses about work. Family obligations come first." "Obligations?" I laughed, bitter and cold, like honesty, respect, or do those only go one way in this family? Mom's face hardened, the look that used to silence me as a kid. "That's enough, Claire. The tickets are paid for. We leave tomorrow. The kids need you. Are you really going to abandon them over a little white lie?" "A little white lie?" I was incredulous. "You made me think you were dying." Dad shrugged, infuriatingly casual. "We knew you wouldn't come otherwise." And there it was. The admission they'd planned this. banking on my love for Mom and my lifelong habit of putting family first. Lauren chimed in, her voice syrupy. It's just 2 weeks. Ethan's ADHD is mostly managed. Mia's got soccer. Noah's allergies are tricky but fine. And Ava's, well, she's 4. They love you. Managed? I shot back. Last time I was here, Ethan set off firecrackers in the garage. Mia had a meltdown over a lost sock. Noah nearly ate a peanut butter cookie. And Ava painted my purse with nail polish. If grown, Lauren said, her eyes darting. Besides, you're so good with them. Mom nodded, as if it was settled. We'll go over the kids' schedules tonight. Our ship leaves at 10 a.m. They didn't doubt I'd cave. They'd counted on it. My whole life, I'd been the reliable one, the one who sacrificed, who said yes when I wanted to scream no. But this time, something snapped. The weight of their betrayal wasn't just heavy, it was crushing. I wasn't just angry, I was done. That night, as they packed their cruise wear like nothing had happened, I retreated to the guest room, my mind racing. I called Olivia, my hands shaking as I dialed. Let me get this straight, she said, her New York edge cutting through. Your mom's not sick. They lied to make you babysit? Exactly, I said, my voice tight. And now they're leaving for 2 weeks. I'm drowning here. Claire, Nexus is on the verge of pulling the plug. You can't be gone for 2 weeks. Not now. I know, I whispered, my throat tight. I'm trying to figure it out. Figure it out fast, she said, or we'll have to give the account to Derek. This is a $5 million 0 cents deal. We can't lose it. Derek, my rival at Apex, would love to swoop in and steal my partnership. I hung up, staring at the ceiling, trapped. If I left, the kids would be alone. If I stayed, I'd be handing my career to Derek on a silver platter. A soft knock broke my thoughts. Mia stood in the doorway, clutching her stuffed fox. Aunt Claire, are you mad at us? I pulled her into a hug, my heart breaking. Never at you, sweetheart. I'm just surprised about the trip. Mommy said you'd be happy to stay, she said, her voice small. Like a big sleepover. Of course she did. I love being with you, I said, truthful but heavy. I just wish I'd known sooner. She nodded, her eyes wide. Like when Mommy forgets to tell me about dentist appointments. I hate surprises. Dinner was a tense affair. Pizza boxes littered the table, the kids chattering about their plans with me while the adults avoided my gaze. Lauren's handover was a joke. A post-it note with school times and a scrawled, no emergency contacts, no pediatrician info, no budget for food or activities. When I asked about money, Lauren looked embarrassed. The cruise was expensive. You can cover stuff, right? You make bank in Chicago. Before I could snap, Mom cut in. It's late. We have an early flight to the port. Everything will be fine, Claire. Their departure the next morning was a whirlwind. Dad loaded the luggage, Mom fussed over the kids, and Lauren barely said goodbye, too busy checking her Instagram. Cell service might be spotty on the ship, Dad said as they left. Don't call unless it's an emergency. And just like that, they were gone, leaving me with 4 kids and a ticking time bomb of a career. The chaos started immediately. Ethan refused breakfast, demanding sugary cereal we didn't have. Mia lost her soccer cleats. Noah had a meltdown over a missing toy. And Ava spilled orange juice on my work tablet, frying the screen. I got them to school late, navigating a carpool lane like a war zone while other parents honked. Back at the house, I tried to salvage Nexus work, but a power outage hit that night, plunging us into darkness. I heard footsteps outside. Heavy and deliberate. Heart pounding, I checked the windows, but saw nothing. I called the police, who dismissed it as probably a raccoon. I wasn't convinced. By day 2, I was unraveling. Noah's peanut allergy flared up after he found a granola bar in Lauren's pantry. Thank God I had an EpiPen from a previous visit. Olivia emailed again, her tone icy. Nexus is meeting with our competitors tomorrow. You need to be here, Claire. I was on a conference call when the school called. Mia was in the nurse's office claiming a stomachache but really just missing her mom. I picked her up, losing another hour of work. Then it got worse. While helping Ethan with homework, I heard a crash. Ava had climbed onto the kitchen counter, knocking over my $3,000 0-cents work tablet. The screen was shattered, my Nexus files, weeks of work, gone. I stared at the wreckage, my career flashing before my eyes. I wanted to see the lights, Ava said, her voice tiny. I didn't yell. I couldn't. I just hugged her, sent the kids to play, and called Rachel, my best friend in Chicago. They lied to me, I told her, my voice breaking. They made me think Mom was dying. Claire, that's unforgivable, Rachel said. Come back. Stay with me. You can't let them ruin you. I can't leave the kids, I said, torn. But I'm losing everything. Then find someone else to take them, she urged. You've got to protect yourself. She was right. I called Liam, my assistant, to prep a Nexus backup plan. Then I called Aunt Margaret, Mom's sister in Tacoma, who'd always called out my family's nonsense. They did what? She roared when I explained. Bring the kids here. I'll handle it. Margaret's farm was a lifeline. I sat the kids down, explaining I had to return to Chicago for work, but they'd stay with their great aunt. Ethan looked worried. Is it because we're too much? My heart ached. No, buddy. It's about grown-up choices. You'll love Aunt Margaret's chickens. I drove them to Tacoma, the kids' chatter filling the silence. As we pulled up to Margaret's sprawling farm, a threatening note slipped under my parents' front door flashed in my mind. Leave Seattle or regret it. I'd called the police again, but they'd brushed it off. Was it tied to the stranger at the airport? The SUV that rammed my car yesterday? I pushed the fear down, handed Margaret a folder of the kids' routines, and hugged them tight. Back at my parents' house, I left a letter on the counter detailing their betrayal, my expenses, and the tablet's cost. I set up auto replies for their calls and flew back to Chicago, my mind a storm of determination and dread. As the plane climbed, I worked frantically on my laptop, rebuilding Nexus files. I wasn't just fighting for my job, I was fighting for myself. The Chicago skyline glittered through the airplane window as we descended into O'Hare, but my mind was still in Seattle, replaying the betrayal that had turned my world upside down. My family, Mom, Dad, and Lauren, had lied about Mom's health, luring me across the country with a fake ICU crisis just to babysit Lauren's 4 kids while they sipped cocktails on an Alaskan cruise. I'd left Ethan, Mia, Noah, and Ava with Aunt Margaret in Tacoma, safe from their mother's neglect and my family's manipulation. But the cost was steep. A $1,500 0-cents flight, a $3,000 0-cents shattered tablet, and a career teetering on the edge. As the plane's wheels hit the tarmac, my phone buzzed with an email from Olivia, my boss at Apex Solutions. Nexus is meeting with Henderson and Associates tomorrow. Be in the office by 8 a.m. or Derek takes the lead. My stomach churned. Derek, my ambitious rival, was circling like a vulture, ready to steal the $5 million 0-cents Nexus account and my partnership. I had 24 hours to save everything I'd built. Back in my River North apartment, I collapsed onto the couch, the city's hum a stark contrast to the chaos of Seattle. My friend Rachel, true to her word, had left a key under the mat and a note. You've got this, Claire. Crash here as long as you need. Her guest room was a lifeline, but sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. I plugged in my backup drive, praying it held enough Nexus files to rebuild the presentations Ava's juice spill had destroyed. My fingers flew across my laptop, piecing together charts on the data breach, drafting apologies for Nexus's irate CEO, and emailing Liam, my assistant, with a desperate plan. Pull every Nexus contract. Call the venue. Stall Henderson. By 3 a.m., my eyes burned, but I'd salvaged half the presentation. Then my phone pinged, a video call from Aunt Margaret. The screen showed Ethan, Mia, Noah, and Ava, their faces smeared with berry jam from Margaret's homemade scones. "Aunt Claire!" Mia squealed, waving a paintbrush. "We fed the chickens." Noah, usually a whirlwind, sat calmly, showing me a drawing of a tractor. Margaret's structured farm life was working miracles. "They're settling in," Margaret said, her silver hair glinting in the morning light. "Ethan helped with chores, and Ava only had one tantrum today." I smiled, my heart aching for the kids, but relieved they were safe. "Any word from Lauren?" I asked. "Nothing," Margaret said, her lips tight. "They're probably too busy with their glacier tours to care." I thanked her and hung up, my resolve hardening. My family's betrayal wasn't just personal. It was a pattern. Years of me being the reliable one, the fixer, while they coasted. No more. But as I dove back into work, a new email popped up from an anonymous sender. "You can't hide, Claire. Drop Nexus or we expose everything." Attached was a grainy photo of me at Seattle-Tacoma Airport, taken by the stranger who tailed me. My pulse spiked. Was this tied to the black SUV that rammed my rental car? The threatening note under the door? Or Lauren's shady exes, who'd always lingered like bad debts? Dangerous Situation 6. At 4 a.m., my apartment's fire alarm blared, piercing the silence. I grabbed my laptop and bolted for the stairwell, joining a crowd of bleary-eyed neighbors. Outside, fire trucks screamed, but there was no smoke, no flames, just a false alarm. As I returned, I found my apartment door ajar, my backup drive missing. Someone had been inside. I called the police, heart pounding, but they chucked it up to a random break-in. I wasn't buying it. This felt targeted, like the hacker who'd leaked my Nexus emails. I called Liam, my voice shaking. "Someone stole my backup drive. Check the server logs. See if anyone's accessed my files." He promised to dig, but time was slipping away. Nexus's meeting was in hours, and I had no drive, no tablet, and a half-finished presentation. I worked through the dawn, fueled by coffee and fury, recreating slides from memory. My suit wrinkled, but my resolve ironclad. Olivia met me at the elevator, her face grim. "Nexus is in the boardroom. They're pissed. Henderson's pitching them right now." Pressure point 6. As I entered the boardroom, Nexus's CEO, Victor Lang, glared at me. "Ms. Winters, your absence nearly cost us millions. Why should we trust Apex now?" Derek smirked from the corner, his polished suit screaming opportunist. I took a deep breath, channeling years of crisis management. "Because I've been fighting for you, Victor, even when my family lied to derail me. Here's the plan to save your reputation." I launched into the presentation, my voice steady despite the chaos of the past 48 hours. Halfway through, Liam slipped me a note. "Server logs show a hack from an IP in Seattle. Tracing now." The room blurred. Seattle? Was this my family's doing? Or something bigger? I pushed through, outlining a PR campaign to spin the data breach as a proactive security upgrade. Victor's scowl softened, but Derek interjected, "Claire's been unreliable. I can take it from here." Olivia shot me a look. "Prove him wrong? Or you're out." Dangerous Situation. 7. After the meeting, as I left the office, a man in a hoodie grabbed my arm in the parking garage, his voice low, "Drop Nexus or you'll regret it." I yanked free, my self-defense training kicking in, and sprinted to my car, locking the doors. He vanished into the shadows, but my hands shook as I drove to Rachel's. This wasn't random. Someone wanted me off Nexus, and they weren't stopping at notes or hacks. I called Margaret again, needing her grounding presence. "The kids are thriving," she said, describing Ethan's new fascination with her vegetable garden and Mia's watercolor of the Puget Sound, but her tone shifted. "Claire, I found something odd in Lauren's old mail, a letter from a guy named Marcus, one of her exes. He's out of prison and asking about the kids." My blood ran cold. Marcus, Noah's father, had a rap sheet for fraud and assault. Was he behind the threats? The SUV? The airport stalker? Pressure point 7. My phone buzzed with a text from Lauren, a selfie on the cruise ship with a glacier backdrop, captioned, "Wish you were here, kids okay?" The audacity reignited my rage. She was sipping martinis while I dodged threats and fought for my job. I didn't reply, instead forwarding the text to Margaret with a note. "Check if Marcus has been around." I couldn't shake the feeling that Lauren's past was catching up, and I was in the crosshairs. That night, I worked from Rachel's apartment, rebuilding Nexus's trust with a new press release. Liam called with a breakthrough. The hack came from a Seattle coffee shop IP, but the user spoofed their ID. I'm digging deeper. I thanked him, my mind racing. Was Marcus hacking me to get to Lauren's kids? Or was this Nexus's competitors like Henderson playing dirty? The uncertainty gnawed at me, but I had no time to dwell. Dangerous situation. 8. At 2 a.m., Rachel's apartment buzzer screamed. A distorted voice crackled through. "Claire, we know you're here." I froze, peering through the peephole to see a figure in a ski mask outside. Rachel grabbed a baseball bat, her eyes wide but fierce. "Stay back," I whispered, dialing 911. The figure vanished before police arrived, but they found a knife slashed through my car's tires in the lot. "Could be kids," the cop said, but I knew better. This was personal. The next day, I met with Victor Lang at Nexus's headquarters, presenting a revised crisis plan. He nodded, impressed, but added, "We're still considering Henderson. You've got until tomorrow to lock this in." Derek was there, whispering to Nexus's CFO, his eyes glinting with triumph. I left the meeting, my stomach in knots, and checked my phone. 5 missed calls from Margaret. My heart stopped. "Claire," she said when I called back, "someone was snooping around the farm last night. The kids didn't see, but I found cigarette butts by the barn. I called the sheriff." Pressure point 8. As I processed Margaret's words, Olivia called. "Nexus is leaning toward Henderson. They're questioning your reliability after the email leak. You've got one shot left. Dinner with Victor tonight." I agreed, but my mind was split between Nexus and the kids. Was Marcus stalking Margaret's farm? Or was this tied to the Chicago threats? I couldn't shake the image of that ski-masked figure, the knife in my tires. At the dinner, a sleek steakhouse in the Loop, I pitched Nexus with everything I had, weaving data, charm, and a promise to triple their security protocols. Victor leaned forward, intrigued, but my phone vibrated under the table. A text from an unknown number. "The kids are next if you don't back off." My blood froze. I excused myself, hands trembling, and called Margaret. "Everyone's fine," she assured me. "I've got a friend staying over tonight, ex-cop. No one's getting near these kids." Her voice was steel, but mine cracked. "Margaret, I think Lauren's ex Marcus is behind this." Dangerous situation. 9. Driving back to Rachel's, my car's GPS glitched, rerouting me to a deserted industrial park. Headlights flashed behind me. A black SUV, the same kind that rammed me in Seattle. I floored the gas, weaving through empty lots, my heart pounding as the SUV chased. I dialed 911, screaming my location as I swerved onto a main road, losing them in traffic. The police met me at a gas station, but the SUV was gone. "You're shaken up," the officer said. Maybe it was road rage. I didn't believe it for a second. Back at Rachel's, I collapsed, the threats piling up like a house of cards. Marcus, Nexus, Henderson. Someone wanted me out, and they were escalating. I called Liam, who'd traced the coffee shop IP to a burner laptop. "It's a dead end," he said. But I found encrypted emails mentioning Winters and Leverage. They're on a dark web forum. My stomach dropped. This was bigger than Marcus. Was Nexus itself involved, covering up something worse than a data breach? Pressure point 9. The next morning, Olivia pulled me aside. "Victor's impressed, but Henderson's offering a cheaper deal. If you don't close this today, you're off the account, and partnership's off the table." I nodded, my mind racing. I had to win Nexus, protect the kids, and figure out who was hunting me. I spent the day in a frenzy, finalizing a bulletproof Nexus plan while coordinating with Margaret, who'd hired a private security guard for the farm. That afternoon, Lauren called, her voice shrill from the cruise ship. "You left my kids with Margaret? You abandoned them?" I kept my tone even. "I ensured they're safe with someone responsible, Lauren, while I saved my career from your lie." She sputtered, but Dad grabbed the phone. "Claire, this is unacceptable. You're selfish, putting your job over family." The hypocrisy burned. "You lied about Mom dying," I said. "You don't get to lecture me about family." Mom's voice came next, dripping with guilt. "This stress is killing me, Claire." The irony was almost laughable. I hung up, setting my phone to auto-reply. "The children are safe. We'll talk when you respect my boundaries." Their calls kept coming. Lauren's rage, Dad's threats to cut me off, Mom's crocodile tears. But I didn't budge. Margaret's updates were my anchor. Ethan was building a birdhouse, Mia was reading to Noah, and Ava had learned to braid Margaret's hair. They were thriving, free from Lauren's chaos. In dangerous situation, 10. That night, as I left Apex's office, a power surge fried the building's security system. In the dark, someone grabbed me from behind, a cloth pressed to my face. Chloroform. I fought, elbowing hard, and broke free, sprinting to the street as footsteps echoed behind me. A cab appeared like a miracle, whisking me to safety. I reported it to the police, who found no trace of the attacker. My hands shook as I realized this wasn't just about Nexus. Someone wanted me gone. The next day, I walked into Nexus's final meeting, bruised but unbroken. Derek was there, pitching hard, but I delivered a presentation that left Victor speechless, a plan to not only fix the breach but make Nexus untouchable. As I spoke, Liam texted, "Found the hackers forum. Winters is linked to a Nexus insider, possibly Victor's CFO." My heart raced. Was the CFO orchestrating this to sabotage me? I kept my cool, closing the deal with a handshake. "You've got guts, Claire," Victor said. "Apex keeps the contract." Pressure point 10. Back at Apex, Olivia pulled me into her office. "You saved Nexus, but the email leak cost us credibility. I'm recommending you for partnership, but the board's hesitant. Prove you're unshakable." I nodded, knowing the threats weren't over. The CFO, the SUV, the chloroform. Who was pulling the strings? That night, Margaret called with a bombshell. Marcus showed up at the farm, demanding to see Noah. My security guy scared him off, but he left a note. "Tell Claire to back off or the kids pay." I froze. Marcus was part of this, but he wasn't alone. I hired a private investigator to track him, sharing Liam's dark web findings. "This goes deeper than your sister's ex," the PI said. "There's a money trail to Nexus's competitors, and maybe someone in your family." Curiosity hook 6. Was Lauren's lie about Mom's illness just a selfish ploy, or was she hiding something bigger, like Marcus's involvement? Curiosity hook 7. Is Nexus's CFO working with Henderson to sabotage me, or is there a larger conspiracy tied to the data breach? Curiosity hook 8. Why did the threats follow me from Seattle to Chicago? And who has the resources to orchestrate such a campaign? Curiosity Hook 9. Will Margaret's care give the kids a chance at a stable life, or will Lauren drag them back into chaos? Curiosity Hook 10. What secrets is my family hiding, and how far will they go to protect them when they return from the cruise? The cruise ended and my family returned to Seattle, expecting me to crumble. Instead, they found my letter, the kids with Margaret, and a united front of relatives, cousins, uncles, even Grandma, backing my stand. Lauren's first call was frantic. "You've ruined everything." But her tone softened when I told her about Marcus. "I didn't know he was out," she whispered, fear in her voice. Dad's apology was gruff but real. "We screwed up, Claire. We didn't think." Mom's was tearful. "We took you for granted. We're sorry." 6 months later, I stood in Apex's boardroom, accepting my partnership plaque. The Nexus deal was a triumph, and the PI uncovered the CFO's ties to Henderson, leading to his firing. Marcus vanished, but the kids stayed with Margaret part-time, thriving in her care. Lauren enrolled in parenting classes, and my parents started respecting my boundaries. I'd faced lies, hacks, and knives in the dark, but I'd emerged stronger, my family forced to see me as an equal. As I watched the Chicago skyline from my new corner office, I realized the greatest victory wasn't saving Nexus. It was reclaiming my life. If you've ever been pushed too far, know this. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. And sometimes, the hardest fights lead to the sweetest freedom. What's next for Claire? Will Marcus resurface? Is Nexus hiding more secrets? Drop your thoughts below and share your own stories of breaking free. Subscribe for the next chapter. You won't believe what happens next.